Hello student, today we learn about nucleic acid as the genetic material of the cell. The source for the genetic material. Some substance must be responsible for passage of trait from parent to offspring. For a substance to do this, it must be stable enough to store information for a long period, which means a substance which is passing from their parent to offspring must be strong able or stable enough to store the information from the parents for for the offspring for a long period of time, and it able to replicate accurately. The genetic material should be replicate accurately and capable of change to allow evolution. We know the evolution, the change every day and every second, so the genetic material should be allowed itself to change in evolution. The molecules should be able to undergo mutation. The molecules that may undergo the mutation for its better survival technically. The constituent of the cell carrier of the genetic information means the gene with high stability requirement get capable of permanent sudden change to mutant form to provide the basis of the evolution. They carry the genetic blueprint of a cell and carry the instruction for the function of the cell. DNA and RNA are made up of monomers known as the nucleotides combine with each other to form a polypeptide. This is the structure of RNA and DNA. We know RNA is a single stranded structure and DNA is a double stranded structure. RNA refers to the ribonucleic acid and DNA refers to as the deoxyribonucleic acid. The nucleotide is made up of a nitrogen base, pentose sugars, and the phosphate group. RNA is involved in the protein synthesis. The function of RNA in our cell is the protein synthesis, and the DNA function in the cell is carries the genetic information which is passing from the parent to their respective offsprings. What component of a DNA can contain that information? DNA comes from the nitrogen base. As you know, the backbone of all DNA molecules is same, and there are only 4 bases found in it, that is A, T, G, C. This sequence of the 4 bases can provide the instruction needed to build any living organism. In order for a DNA to function effectively at storing the information, only the 2 processes are required. Information stored in DNA molecules must be copied with minimal errors. Every time a cell divides, ensure that both daughter cells inherit the complete set of genetic information from the parents, which means the information which is stored in DNA molecules must be copied from the parent to their offspring with minimal error, that is no errors. Every time the cell divides, it ensures that the daughter cell inherits the complete set of the genetic information. The daughter receives the complete inherit of character. Second, the information stored in DNA molecules must be translated or expressed. Cell must be able to access the instruction for making specific proteins, so the correct proteins are made in the right place at the right time, which means the information stored in the DNA must be translated or expressed, and the cell must be able to access the instruction. Cell can read the instructions and the instruction for making the specific proteins, so the correct proteins is made at the right time and the right place. This is all about the DNA structures, and in my next video I will post a historical perspective of DNA.